Ta-da! I am back in my kitchen garden in some sort of daylight, and it's raining today too. It was nearly snow this morning, but it's a bit warmer now. But I can tell you, it's not warm at all. I have been out for a while and taking some photos and doing some things for my site, sarabäckmo.com and sarabäckmo.se. And I can feel my fingers are very, very cold. Hi Turid, nice to see you. But I am struggling here with my harvest calendar. And actually, I can't believe that I have been last few days, for 11 days, 10 days. Hi, Diana. I have been harvesting 10 different vegetables from my December garden. And I mean, I imagine how would it be if, like most people in Sweden, knew that that was possible. In a couple of days ago, I saw a woman in northern Sweden. Hi Molly, in Piteå. She had a barrel loaded with stems with Brussels sprouts. Hi Ronja and Lena too. Nice to see all of you. Lunchtime in Sweden. I am very hungry and I will use today's harvest for my lunch actually. And the lady in Piteå, she harvested lots of Brussels sprouts. And to me, it was so nice to see that, because in the comment sections, people said, "Oh, is that really possible? Did you harvest all that now?" And she said, "Yeah." So it's possible, not only in like southern Sweden, it's possible to do also in northern parts of our dark and cold country. I brought with me a tiny little basket today for my Brussels sprouts. I took what I could find indoors. It's Wednesday today, and it means that I only care for myself. My husband is in town with Lua, our youngest, to do some Christmas things. It's Lucia tomorrow, and the kids are having some kind of performance in school, so they needed a few things for that. So what I am going to do now for lunch is I simply going to fry the Brussels sprouts in butter with garlic and some honey and maybe some almonds. I don't know if I have it, but it's so tasty. It's super, super tasty. And I harvested the Brussels sprouts a while ago. I made a video about it. I harvested lots of Brussels sprouts then, but I left the small sprouts here in the tops of the plants, thinking that maybe they could grow a bit more. They did not, because we have had such a dark November and it's been pretty cold too. So they didn't grow anything. I remember when Maria and I made our book Skillnadens skörd. It's about how I grow things to harvest most of the year and what kind of food I prepare from the harvest. So it's a lot of recipes in that book. And we were actually out here in the garden in December wearing a t-shirt because it was 20 degrees Celsius outdoors in December that year. I think that was 2016 because my Lua was not a year yet, but that was crazy. And when it's like 20 degrees in December, it's possible for vegetables to grow. It's not strange if it's light, sunlight as well. But this weather is not very good. I will try to turn the camera and just show you how the vegetables look like. Cold fingers. This row been protected by this net. The other row was not protected, and you see what happened. The deers ate it all. And this is a raised bed covered with wool, because I mulch my garden with the wool, some part of it. I don't wear the right kind of gloves, but I will try to show you how the soil looks like. Some weeds in here. It's very, very nice soil. You see, I can, oops, it's very slippy, but I would try to, no, it's too slippy. But I would say like maybe 40 centimeters or so if I could try to press it down. And I have this soccer hose as well underneath the wool. This layer of wool was like maybe 20 centimeters or something when I put it on this bed, so it is decomposing. They look super nice. So this plant is okay to harvest. Diana, you asked me if the purple ones taste different. No, they taste exactly the same actually. They look a bit different, of course, when they are growing. I think they develop not that good as the green one. You see, they are not. They are another like spacing between them, so I get more to harvest from like the green ones. But the red ones are very beautiful. And here's a Brussels sprout with a rotten top. This is like grey mold because of the damp weather. But as you can see, I still have many Brussels sprouts to harvest. I can show you this plant too, because it's interesting in one way. This plant was not protected by this net, so it's been like outside of the net, and you can see here that the animals ate, and as soon as the Brussels sprouts they have some like damages, they will be destroyed immediately in this kind of climate. Well, this one is not. This may not be the most like wonderful garden inspiration for some people, but I really think it's important to, I will just put my glove on, well, to show that it is actually possible to harvest lots of things in your own garden. By this time of year, my family, we have only like bought a few cucumbers. All kinds of vegetables that we need, we have in our garden or in the freezer or like fermented or dried or whatever. So, I mean, it's great fun to eat things from your own garden also in winter time. I love it. And it's such a pleasure to go out in the garden when it's like cold and rainy and you pick your own food and you go indoors, you make a fire and listen to a nice podcast or whatever and do your lunch, and then I put myself in front of the computer and I write something. I mean, this is a really nice way of living. I don't need that much food for lunch because I still have some soup for from another day. Ta-da! So I think I will just pick 1 or 2 plants. This year I grew pretty much like the Brussels sprouts. I like to remove those leaves because it's easier to harvest the Brussels sprouts, but now when they have been like freezing and do you say thawing? It sounds strange, but the leaves get a bit like soft, so they are a bit difficult to remove. Hello, Anita. It's nice to see that so many of you can watch this even though it's daytime. They really look fantastic, and I don't have to peel off that many leaves before I I have it for lunch. It looks super nice. And by this time now, I see that, I mean, I am not going to harvest any more from this plant, so I will just try to take as much as possible. I didn't finish my talking about how many plants and this and that, but next year I think I will go for even more Brussels sprouts. I have harvested quite much this year, but I would like to harvest even more next year, so that I can like store into spring. I mentioned the other day the hungry gap. Oh, you don't want to look at our like trash bin. I had to move things around a bit in the garden when we are doing some work on the upper floor. So it's not that aesthetic in the garden right now. Anyhow, since I keep the Brussels sprouts in the freezer, it's very easy to store them until like next summer and next spring. And since you never know how your like garden will be and develop in springtime, like this year we had such a cold spring. I don't know if that's the same for you guys. But if we have a very cold spring, like 2021, it would be super nice to have plenty of Brussels sprouts that I can bring out from the freezer and have instead of like lettuce and spinach and whatever. Someone asked me how many plants I grew this year. I can actually count that. Just give me a minute. Those are very tiny. And now my little basket is full. So sweet, isn't it? All right, so I will count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, I think maybe. So 12 plants. Maybe if I have like 20 next year. So if I have a whole bed full of Brussels sprouts, I think that will be perfect. I am also very interested in trying. Oh my God, you are watching from so many countries. It's difficult to put a glove on a wet hand. What was I saying? Never mind, don't remember that. It's easier. I mean, this year I grew different varieties together in like one bed. So I had in this bed I had the tall varieties of kale, and then I had the Brussels sprouts because they also are quite tall plants. And in other beds I had the black kale along with the Savoy cabbage or something else. But it's actually easier to manage the bed if I only grow one kind of vegetable in that bed. So if I next year choose to grow only the Brussels sprouts, it's easier to protect it with a net. It's easier to water as much as this specific vegetable needs. Let's take broccoli, for example. Broccoli is a vegetable that you have to water quite much. Some people have a problem because they don't develop this top, well, you know, the broccoli. What do you say? Yeah, the broccoli. So you only get like leaves what's wrong, did I do something wrong, etc., etc. And that is that could be because you didn't water the plant enough. So some vegetables, they need different kind of things than others, even if they are in like the same family. Well, I better go and put this net back on top of the plants. I think I'll do that without the camera, actually. I hope you enjoy this harvest calendar, and I also hope that I have this crazy mind. I look at this place and it's so easy for me to imagine how it looks like when it's all beautiful and when it's in its summer shape, when everything is grown up and it's a lot of flowers and lots of vegetables and everything is so pretty. So when I see this place now, I can see that it's kind of ugly, but I also see a lot of like positive things with this place. For example, I really like to see this messy place at the moment because I know that the worms, they thrive in here when it's not frozen. I have really, really good soil in here, mulching it with like straw and all kinds of things. And in this bed where I have leaves on top as a mulch, it's perfect. So I just go here feeling happy about what I achieved this year in the garden, even though it looks a bit messy. And in Sweden, in just a few days, we have this kind of state when it comes to daylight. I don't know what you call it, but when it's really like the longest night. And after that, it will be brighter. And that's a turning point for me in the garden, where everything seems a bit easier. So I just have to keep my sense now for the last dark days, and then it's easier. It will be cold, of course, but it doesn't matter because by then I have so many nice things grown in my indoor gardening projects. I don't have that much space this year though, because we have simply no space at all indoors since we are making some changes on our upper floor in the attic. I haven't been up there today, so I don't know how it looks like, but when they are having their lunch, I go up like a spy taking some photos. Well, my dear friends, this is it from today's harvest calendar. Sara in her Sara's Kitchen Garden. And if you want to see more from my garden and my projects, you could just check at sarabäckmo.com, don't miss it. And sarabäckmo.se, of course. And I'll see you again tomorrow with a new report from the garden. And don't forget to mention in the comment section what you harvest in your garden today and inspire us all. Even though you may not live in Sweden, it's amazing for me and others to read about what kind of season you have and what you harvest and how you feel about it. Bye from me and see you again tomorrow.